Am I good? Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. So I mostly specialize in business intelligence and BizTalk. A lot of my business intelligence experience is in SSIS. And then I also do a little .NET development on the side as well. So today I'm going to talk about, I'm going to talk about an introduction to SSIS templates. You know, what is a template? How can you create a template? What items can you include in a template? And then maybe some of the benefits and drawbacks of using templates. So here's my contact information if you're interested. Maybe cut off a little bit on the side of the screen. Should be okay. All right, so I'm just going to jump right into it. What is an SSIS custom template? It is a template for creating new SSIS packages that includes one or more reusable components. So suppose I have a SSIS conversion project, and I have multiple SSIS packages. And generally, the process, the SSIS package has a similar process for each of the packages. I might want to create a template so that I don't have to recreate all of the components in each package every time I create a new package. So let's look at a quick example. So suppose in my conversion packages, I have a series of data flow tasks, and I'm going to output the data to processing tables in my conversion database as I go through my package. When I run the package again, I'm going to need to clean up the tables so that I'm not converting old data. So what I want to do is create an execute SQL task at the beginning of my conversion package to clean up any old data. So suppose we have a team of developers who are working on these packages. And so we have developer one who comes in, and he's going to create the cleanup processing tables execute SQL task. And y'all probably can't read that. Let me get my Zoom at working. No. So over in my SQL query, I have truncate sales processing 1, truncate sales processing 2, and truncate sales processing 3. So these are my processing tables in my conversion package. And so this developer has just gone in and directly entered those in the SQL statement in the execute SQL task. And he's created his own connection manager to localhost processing DB. So then I have developer 2 come in, and he used the correct naming conventions for the execute SQL task, but he came in and he decided to create a stored procedure to clean up his tables. And he actually was good and used the project connection manager. So then I have developer 3, and developer 3 comes in, and he has his SQL statement, and he's also using a store procedure, but he decides to store that SQL statement in a variable. And then developer 4 is just terrible. He forgets to clean up his tables altogether. So you can see with just one simple task how easy it is to have all these variations across packages. So you can imagine when you get to the end of your SSIS package, how when you have a team of developers, you know, each one has their own custom style and implements things differently. And so that makes maintenance a nightmare, especially if you have resources on your team changing. So one of the big reasons to use a custom template is standardization. And since we're in Music City, I had to use a picture of guitars. So now let's do a quick demo for how we create an SSIS template. So I'm going to come into Visual Studio. This is an important step to remember. I have to do run as admin. It will not let me create a template unless I do run as admin. It says you don't have appropriate privileges. Sorry? Okay. So I'm going to create a new integration services project. And I'm going to come into my package here. And suppose I'm going to come into my SSIS toolbox, and I'm going to grab my execute SQL task, and I'm going to put it in here. Now, just for the sake of demonstration, I'm just going to add a quick connection manager. This is going to be my conversion database. And I'm going to come in. I'm going to use that connection manager. I'm going to come in, and I'm going to what did I call that? Okay. So I've got my execute SQL task. Now, suppose I want to create a template from this package. All you have to do is go to File, Save Copy of Package As, and I'm going to need to navigate to a particular folder within the SQL Server data hierarchy. So, and that is, it's under, I'm on 64-bit, so it's going to be in Program Files, x86. It's underneath Visual Studio, and you come in under Private Assemblies and Data Transformation Items. And you have to have it in this particular folder, otherwise when you try to create a package from the template, when you go to try to create a new item from the template, you won't see the template in the list. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say sample template. Now, I want to create a package from that template. So I'm going to go to add new item, and you can see my sample template right here. So if I click on that, it automatically renames the package to sample template 1. So I'm going to add that, and I'm good to go. There's my execute SQL task. So basically, you can put anything you want to in a template, no restrictions whatsoever, and it will copy it for you and create the new package. One thing to note that's really nice about SQL 2012 is that if I come into the package properties, you see this package ID, this GUID here. So if I'm creating a package from a template in a version earlier than 2012, I would want to come in here and select generate new ID, because it won't, it'll reuse the same ID as the template. And so this is kind of a bad practice if you're implementing logging and you're using that ID to identify errors with a particular package, for example. And so you'd want to have that distinct for your new package that you're creating. But the nice thing about 2012 is it comes in and does this for you when you create a package from a template. It's going to generate a new ID automatically. Okay, so that's how we create a basic template. Any questions so far? Sure. Well, I'm in BIDS right now, or SQL Server Data Tools in 2012, but you can do it in earlier versions too, like BIDS 2005. Yeah. I don't think so, but I'm not sure. I'll have to, let me get back with you on that. I might have to look that up. Okay, so let's get back to our presentation. Sorry? Oh, sure.
Essentially what you're saying is that for the template to show up when you create the new package, it has to be in a specific location. The suggestion that you input.
Yes.
You know where you live in that location?
No, I don't think that you can. Not that I know of.
That was a local folder, right?
Yes.
So you would have to distribute those templates to every developer's computer.
Yes.
To access them.
Yes. And that is my last slide about drawbacks of using a template. Oh, no. No, you're good. I did a lot of researching on the internet about this, and well, I'll get back to that a little bit later. Okay. So let's get back to our presentation here. All right, so when you're thinking about designing a template, obviously we want to incorporate SSIS best practices. So one advantage of a template is you're going to help kind of enforce and set standards for naming. You know, there's nothing that drives me crazy more than coming into a package that another developer's worked on and hasn't renamed anything. And so you have, you know, data flow task, data flow task, data flow task, and it's you can't tell what's going on. The other nice thing that you can do is add annotations. So you can automatically, you know, add an annotation next to, you know, the execute SQL task saying, you know, update the SQL statement to work for your package or something like that. So you can kind of give a step-by-step directions for development and guidelines, and this will help standardize your SSIS packages. And so when you're also thinking about designing a template, you have to develop a framework for your business needs. So you will have to think about what kind of logging does your process require? What kind of, you know, error reporting? You know, how should errors be handled? What event handlers do you need? You know, what are you going to need several configurations for different environments? You have to think about all these things when you're designing a framework. So let's just kind of go through a little bit about what I might include in a template. So I already mentioned this, but you might want to include logging. So one nice thing that you can do is you can have a script task that would write to a log table. And so maybe I want to, in my package, suppose I want to log the package when my package starts and when it fails. I could have a script task in my template at the beginning and at the end that would provide that logging information automatically. And if I were just logging the start time and the end time, and the package name, I could do all that and I wouldn't have to change it across packages. That would just be already set up, ready to go immediately. So package execution notification. I may want to send an email if the package succeeded, or I may want to notify someone if the package failed. So I already kind of touched on this, but event handlers and error handling. So I might have a event handler for on error. So suppose I have a low data warehouse data flow task, and an error occurs in that. You know, I would probably want to notify an administrator that that error occurred. So I could have that already set up. Connection managers. We already kind of looked at that in our first example. You know, it's a kind of a good best practice to standardize your connection managers and have one configuration supply. If you're going to share a connection across multiple packages, you would want to have one configuration that would supply the connection string for all of those packages. Package settings. I often set the protection level to don't save sensitive if I am working on a team of developers, because if you leave it as encrypt sensitive with user key, then someone else can't open the package, only the creator of the package. And all that sensitive information is not saved, so you have all the errors at design time with your connections.
Don't save sensitive
Oh, sure.
What sensitive stuff does that protect with the default settings? Kind of problem right now, trying to automate. That's the culprit of why it's not working. What is exposed by putting in its own system?
So it's going to leave all of your passwords. They're going to be encrypted. You won't be able to read the passwords in your connection managers, but it'll leave all of those in there. And does anybody else know of any other sensitive information? That's the only one that I've come across is the connection manager passwords.
Kind of send that up to sort that out.
Sure. So then I have also package parameters and configurations. So who's familiar with 2012? Who's used it yet? Well, in fact, I just got it this week, so I'm pretty new myself. But I was looking at the package parameters, which replaces the package configurations in 2012. So there's kind of two different deployment models. Now you have your package deployment model, which is the old way, which uses the package configurations, and then you have the new project deployment model, which basically deploys your packages to a database in your integration services instance, and you can execute them from there. And it allows you to control your configurations just by going into the database, and you can set them kind of ad hoc as needed. And so that's kind of nice, and you get better error reporting and things like that, and also basic logging. So anyway, that's just a little, that's helpful in creating a template in 2012, because if you're going to use that package deployment model, you won't have to do as many configurations. Configurations are much easier. Okay, and then you have other reusable components. We already looked at cleanup tasks. I may want containers for things. So in this example I have up here, I have a sequence container for my dimension table load, and then a sequence container for my fact table load. And I would want, and I'm going to want to load my dimensions first in the data warehouse generally, and then I'm going to load my facts. And so if I go ahead and set up those sequence containers, that kind of helps the readability of the control flow. And other scripts also are things you might want to include in a template, custom scripts. All right, and so now we're on to my second demo. All right, so I just wanted to kind of give you an example of a template that I did. So this is for a project. This is kind of similar to a project I did, which was a data conversion from lots of different data sources, and I needed to pull data in from all different places and transform it, and then I was going to load it into a new target system. So I created a master package. There we are. And in my master package, I have a configuration table in my database where I have a list of the packages in this project. So that'd be something I would configure beforehand. Then I'm going to loop through each of those packages, and I'm going to execute each of them. So I'm going to log the package start. I'm going to execute the package. I'm going to update the whether the package failed or succeeded. And then I'm going to log that it completed. So then I created a products conversion package from a template. So let me pull open the template. We'll just do, we'll just add a new item here. All right, so let's see. I created this demo template, and I'm going to come in here and I'm going to need to convert my customers. Oh, sorry, that was the wrong template. I created several practice ones when I was doing this. Customers conversion. All right. There we go, that looks better. So in this conversion, I'm going to have a cleanup task where I'm going to clean up any processing tables in my conversion that where I'm just using to kind of hold data between data flow tasks. I'm going to have a sequence container extracting. So I want a data flow task in here for extract source file. I'm going to do my transformations. And then I'm going to do my loading. So this is going to load to a new target database. So one thing to note is you see how my connection managers are already set up. My conversion connection manager is set up. My target is set up. And then I also have an ADONet connection manager to do some of my SQL queries. And so a lot of this is just it's already set up for me. So if I come in and I'll look at the products conversion, you can see kind of the changes that I've done to it. So I came in here and I added a for each file because I have multiple products files. You know, I could also loop through various databases. I worked on one conversion project where for an energy company in which each of the power plants had their own database. And it was the same database, but each had their own copy. And so what we did was we looped through all of the power plant databases and pulled in all that information to convert. So I can have, you know, any kind of loop here, but basically this is going to hold all of my source extracts. So if I come into my data flow task, I'm extracting from my flat file, and I'm just loading to a table in my conversion database. Then I came in and I added some transformations that are particular to the products data. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to do some kind of cleanup. My flat files just have null written in them instead of blank values, and so I'm going to replace those with actual nulls for the particular data types. I'm going to come in and I'm going to convert my data types to what they need to be. And then I'm going to load it to another processing table. Then in my target, I'm going to come in and I'm just going to pull from that processing table and I'm going to load to my new target database. So the nice thing is that even though my transformations may be different, I may have multiple data flow tasks in there, I may have different source extracts, it's all kind of standardized and it's all, you know, set up similarly so that if I go into another conversion, you know, I can kind of see how everything is working. And I also have a lot of my naming conventions already set up, so it's just more readable. Okay, and then the other thing that I have in my template is I had set up an event handler. So I have an on-error event, and when this event happens, I'm going to log an error in a table that I've created in my conversion database. All right, so I'm just going to delete this sample package. So that was pretty much it in terms of creating that conversion. Oh, I wanted to go to one other thing. I had a couple of configurations. So this parent execution ID and parent conversion package ID came from my master package. So that was already set up in the template. The one thing I did add is a configuration specific for this package, and what I have in that configuration is just the connection string for my flat files, so I know where those are located. So that was it. So if I come into my master and if I run my master here, hope this is going to work. Oh. I should have logged an error, so let's see if I was able to do that. Version database. And I did. I logged these errors down at the bottom. So you can see that this was handled by my event handler that was already in my template. So I came in and I logged those errors there. It's probably a primary key error because I'm not truncating my target table every time. So let me truncate that. Now, hopefully, when I come in and run it this time, and it worked that time. So I didn't log any errors. So let me show you the other kind of logging that I did in terms of the package execution start. Oops, wrong database. So this is taken care of in my master package. So you can come in here and see that our last two runs, this run failed, and then this run succeeded. So another template that you create will be one for the master package, where you would have, several SSIS projects that each had multiple SSIS packages, and you could kind of reuse a master template across those projects, as well as have a child package template for each of your conversions. So any questions on that? Hopefully that was clear. Okay, let me come back to my presentation. So let's talk about some of the advantages of templates. Obviously, it saves both development and testing time. So if we go think about, developer number 4 in my initial example who forgot to clean up his tables with an execute SQL task, that's going to come out in testing that he forgot to do that, and you're going to have to go back and fix that. Well, if you had already included it in the template, you wouldn't even have to think about that. So it encourages upfront design. It encourages you to go into your business and figure out what you need in terms of your packages and think about overall package design. Instead of just, going in and saying, well, I need to convert my products from one place and I need to convert my customers from another place, and just kind of ad hoc throwing those packages together. If you come up with a template initially, that's just going to be better design in general. So as I mentioned earlier, it's going to be easier package maintenance. So if your team of developers is revolving, and suppose I'm working on a package that I didn't initially develop, it's a lot easier for me to read and understand what's going on if everything is standardized. And then it simplifies your configurations and parameters for deployment. So, if we're using one connection string for all of my connections in an SSIS package. Or sorry, for my connections in multiple SSIS packages if I'm using one connection string configuration for that. So, and this is what you touched on earlier, the disadvantages of templates. You have to copy and paste the new template to, here's the link here in the Visual Studio folder. And then you're going to have to, every time you have an update to a template, you're going to have to go back and you're going to have to update any packages based on the old template. So that's kind of a pain too. And there's really, I mean, as far as I know, there's no way to really get around that. In terms of copying and pasting a new template to this folder, one thing that you can do is, I think I read online, someone created a common project in their solution where every time they built the solution, it pulled down, they had a post-build event in there that pulled down a new copy of the template and put it in that folder. So that's kind of one way you can do that, but it seems like a lot of overhead to me. You know, I think it's easier just to kind of, you know, copy and paste your new template in. You know, hopefully you should be doing a lot of your template design up front and it shouldn't be changing a ton.
You stumble across anything that suggested source code control as a solution to this?
Well, I think I'm not sure that you can use source control for this because of where it's located. I think it was a problem being in that internal Visual Studio folder. I think that's what somebody said. So anyway, I'm still looking for ways around this. If you find anything, let me know. I've just found it easier to just kind of copy and paste the new template. So then I have there's some SSIS framework tools. So these can kind of help you get started with the template. So for BI Monkey, this is open source. It's on CodeFlex, and it has kind of some, I think, basic logging and well, I'm gonna have to go to my notes because I actually don't remember all these. So they have kind of a similar setup where you have a parent SSIS package that controls all your execution, and then you have kind of a child package template to add code to. And you have a SQL Server database, kind of like I did, where you have configuration set up where you do all your logging, and then it has some reports too that you can run on execution status and things like that. A lot of this is provided kind of out of the box in 2012, which is nice. It provides that basic logging for you automatically, and you can run a lot of reports on execution status and things like that. So Andy Leonard also has a free tool, and it's for both BI Monkey and Andy Leonard's tool are both for 2008, and it's kind of has similar things configured in it. There's also one called Enterprise SSIS Framework. It provides some template packages. I have not used it. And then you have BI Express, which is not open source, but it's really a neat tool. It integrates into Visual Studio, and so you can come into a package and you can do add auditing frame. You can right-click the package and do add auditing framework, and it'll add all that in for you. And it's kind of, you know, it has these wizards that will help you walk through the steps of adding things like logging. And then it has a great dashboard and monitoring console. So when you're executing a package, it kind of looks like bids. You know, you can kind of see each of the tasks executing, and it provides a lot of reports and on execution status and errors and things like that. And then it also has a best practices analyzer in it, which is also helpful. So basically, I would encourage you to use a template. You know, it will save you so much time in the end from having to recreate components in your packages. So anyway, that's pretty much it. Questions? Questions? have a developer machine, you'll have to deploy it to that local folder in Visual Studio. And then if you have any updates, you'll have to deploy it again. One thing I guess you could do is you could have some kind of startup script in Windows that would, probably automatically deploy it to that folder. And that's one way of kind of managing it. But still, though, if you have changes in your template, you're still going to have to go ahead and update your existing packages that have already been created from that template. So it's, that's why I've kind of found it easier just to copy and paste into that local folder, because you're going to have to notify all your developers anyway of any changes that have happened, so they can update their existing packages.
When you do have connections, you have like when you move it into production, how do you manage that?
How do I manage connection strings in general, or?
Yeah.
As part of the template? Yeah, so one nice thing you can do is you can have a kind of a parent package configuration. So suppose I'm using XML configurations, and I create an XML configuration that has a connection string to my target database, for example. Then if I include that connection in my template for my child packages, and it's pulling from that connection string in the parent package configuration, then that's already set up. So I know that when I'm going into production and I need to change my target database, I just have to update my parent package configuration file, supply a new file for that, or however, or go in and manually update that, and then it will be applied to all of the packages, all of your conversion packages. Does that make sense? Okay. We ran into that when I worked on a project where we had probably about 50 conversion packages. It was really large, and it pulled from, 30, 35 some data sources. And we had about 7 or 8 developers, and, some developers would come in and they would just enter their own connection manager in a project, and they would forget to make that configurable. So then when we moved into testing and we were doing all these mock conversions, they would be pulling from the wrong database because they hadn't updated that configuration. Any other questions? All right, well, thank you all so much.
Let's give another round of applause. CTS also wanted to hand out a sheet so they get some feedback on their presentation today. So if you'd like to fill that out, go ahead and just put that up front here when you leave. But the presentation today, the drawing today will be with the fight kits. So make sure to fill those out if you'd like to be included in the drawing today. We're going to give away an Azure hoodie, and we're also going to give away a SQL in a Nutshell book, and an O'Reilly book, and also as a grand prize we're going to give away DVDs to the past summit from 2011. So also NovaCopy does a $50 gift card drawing for Steakhouse in Cool Springs. So that's what that little card is with the NovaCopy reps. Brian Barr is name on there. So if you'd like to be included for that, go ahead and fill that out. Does anybody still need to give you a cover? Anything else?
Okay, thank you.
Also, tomorrow there is a Azure boot camp, and I've actually got information on that on our website. On our LinkedIn page and our Facebook page. It's not on our website. So if you'd like to go to that, it's tomorrow. It starts at 9 a.m. It's using Azure as a service. So the information on that is up on the LinkedIn web page for our group and also the Facebook page. Also, if you have any jobs that you'd like to post, you can do so through anything on Facebook or LinkedIn, so feel free to do that. And has everybody got their evaluations in that want to be put in the drawing? Okay. I'll let you draw here. So this will be just kind of first come, first serve for the book or the hoodie.
All right. Pardon my pronunciation, but Swathi? Okay.
So come on up, and you can pick between these two here. Then we'll draw another one. Go ahead.
Okay. Jim Savage?
Oh, wow. All right.
Truly coincidence.
So Jim, you get the hoodie. And anybody else for the Nova copy? Which one? You can pick. Which one? No, you don't get this. This is the grand drawing.
Oh.
Okay. But we'll put you back into that. Go ahead. You get the hoodie. All right. So this will be for the grand drawing. Okay, great. Okay. All right, go ahead.
All right. All right, Jack Cannon.
Jack Cannon.
I've already got one.
Okay, all right.
Where you put up was it?
Rajiv.
All right, awesome. All right, great. And now then we'll draw for the gift card. We got a lot of drawings today. All right. Brad Plumley. All right, great. All right, guys. Thanks.